Have you ever wondered where our modern image of Santa Claus comes from? The jolly man in the red suit, the flying reindeer, the North Pole workshop? It all seems like a timeless fairy tale. But the real story is even more fascinating. It begins not in the snowy north, but in the warm Mediterranean, with a 4th century bishop named Nicholas. Our journey starts in Patara, a coastal town in what is now modern-day Turkey. This is where Nicholas was born around the year 270 AD. He came from a wealthy Christian family, but tragedy struck early when his parents died in an epidemic, leaving him a large inheritance. Instead of living a life of luxury, Nicholas was inspired by the teachings of Jesus to sell all he had and give to the poor. He became the Bishop of Myra, a nearby city, and was known far and wide for his incredible generosity and piety. One of the most famous stories about Nicholas involves a poor man with 3 daughters. The father couldn't afford dowries for them, which meant they would likely be sold into servitude. Desperate, he was left with no good options. Hearing of their plight, Nicholas decided to help, but he wanted to do so secretly. Late one night, he went to the family's house and tossed a bag of gold through an open window, providing the dowry for the eldest daughter. He did the same for the second daughter. When it came time for the third daughter's dowry, the father was determined to find out who their secret benefactor was. He stayed up all night, waiting. Nicholas arrived, and this time, finding the window closed, he climbed onto the roof and dropped the bag of gold down the chimney. According to legend, the gold landed in a stocking that had been hung by the fire to dry. Does that sound familiar? This act of secret gift-giving is one of the key pillars of the Santa Claus legend. The 3 bags of gold also led to one of his most recognizable symbols: 3 golden balls, often seen outside pawnbrokers' shops, who adopted Nicholas as their patron saint. Nicholas's fame for kindness and miracles spread throughout the Christian world. He was said to have calmed a raging sea, saved innocent soldiers from execution, and even resurrected 3 young boys who had been murdered by a wicked butcher. After his death on December 6th, his tomb in Myra became a popular pilgrimage site. People believed his bones exuded a sweet-smelling liquid known as manna, which had healing powers. December 6th became his feast day, a day for celebration and, you guessed it, gift-giving. For centuries, Saint Nicholas remained a revered religious figure, especially in Europe. In the Netherlands, he was known as Sinterklaas. Dutch children would leave their shoes out on the evening of December 5th filled with hay and carrots for his white horse. In return, Sinterklaas would leave small gifts, sweets, or coins for the well-behaved children. This tradition is incredibly important because it was the Dutch who brought Sinterklaas with them when they colonized the New World, settling in a place they called New Amsterdam, what we now know as New York City. So, how did a Turkish bishop transform into the Santa Claus we know today? The evolution really kicked into gear in 19th century America. In 1809, author Washington Irving, in his satirical A History of New York, described a pipe-smoking Saint Claus flying over the city in a wagon, dropping presents down chimneys. This was one of the first times Nicholas was depicted as a secular magical figure in American literature. But the real game-changer came in 1823. A poem anonymously published, titled A Visit from Saint Nicholas, completely reshaped the myth. You probably know it by its first line. 'Twas the night before Christmas. This poem introduced many of the key elements we associate with Santa Claus today. It described him as a jolly old elf, with a round belly that shook when he laughed. Like a bowl full of jelly, it gave him a sleigh pulled by 8 tiny reindeer, each with a name. And it definitively moved his visit from December 6th to Christmas Eve, forever linking him with the Christmas holiday. For many years, the poem's author was unknown, but it was later attributed to a professor named Clement Moore. Now we have the character, but what about the look? For much of the 19th century, Santa was depicted in a variety of ways. Sometimes he was tall and thin, sometimes small and elfish. He wore robes of different colors, from green and tan to blue. The standardized image we have today was largely cemented by one man, the political cartoonist, Thomas Nast. Starting in the 1860s, Nast drew a series of illustrations for Harper's Weekly magazine. Influenced by Moore's poem, Nast's Santa was a large, cheerful, bearded man. He was the first to suggest that Santa lived at the North Pole and had a workshop where he kept lists of naughty and nice children. And crucially, over time, Nast consistently dressed Santa in a bright red suit trimmed with white fur. While he wasn't the very first to draw a red suit, his hugely popular and widely circulated drawing standardized it as Santa's official uniform. So we have the story, the look, and the date. But what about the final piece of the puzzle, Santa as a commercial icon? Enter the Coca-Cola Company. In the 1930s, Coca-Cola was looking for a way to boost winter sales. They commissioned an artist named Haddon Sundblom to create a series of advertisements. Featuring Santa Claus, Sundblom's paintings perfected the modern image of Santa. He created a warm, friendly, and very human character, rosy-cheeked, with a twinkle in his eye, enjoying a refreshing bottle of Coke. These ads were everywhere, in magazines, on billboards, on calendars. For decades, Sundblom's Santa defined the character for millions of people around the globe. It's a common misconception that Coca-Cola invented the red suit, but what they did was solidify that image in the public consciousness on a massive, international scale, making it the definitive look of Santa Claus. And what about the reindeer? The original poem gave us 8: Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. But the most famous reindeer of all joined the team much later. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was created in 1939 by Robert L. May, a copywriter for the Montgomery Ward department store. The store wanted a character for a free Christmas coloring book to give to children. May created the story of the misfit reindeer whose glowing nose saves Christmas. The story was an instant hit. A decade later, May's brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, turned the story into a song, and Gene Autry's recording became one of the best-selling songs of all time. So there you have it. The journey of Santa Claus is a remarkable story of cultural evolution. It starts with a real-life, generous bishop in ancient Turkey. His legacy travels across Europe, transforming into the Dutch Sinterklaas. He crosses the Atlantic to America, where poets, cartoonists, advertisers had their own magical layers: a sleigh, reindeer, a red suit, a North Pole workshop, and even a glowing red nose. The Santa Claus we know and love today isn't the creation of one person or one culture. It's a beautiful blend of history, folklore, literature, and art. He's a global symbol of generosity, kindness, and the magical spirit of Christmas. The next time you see that jolly figure, remember the incredible journey from a humble Turkish bishop to the worldwide phenomenon he is today. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the histories behind our favorite traditions. See you next time.